In this tutorial, we will use Discovery at Kent to build a thesis statement and locate resources. KentLink now offers an option called Discovery at Kent. Here you will be able to locate books, videos, images, and articles all in one location. While this can be helpful, it can also be overwhelming. Today we're going to show you how to make using Discovery at Kent an easy way to develop your topic. It can be frustrating when you're searching a database and are getting too many results or you aren't getting the right results. Partially this comes from too narrow of a topic or not understanding how to build a search strategy. Starting with a very broad topic and using the database to narrow your topic is a sure way to get the best results. You can use Discovery at Kent search mechanisms in the same manner as any of our databases. For instance, let's say our topic is rabies in skunks. To begin the process, type skunks in the search box and click Submit. Although you get a lot of results with a broad search, it's best to start broad and narrow down. And you'll notice that one of the first things that appears in our search results is a research starter on skunks. So if you want just some basic information on skunks, maybe you need to know a little bit about their background, a little bit about their feeding habits, that type of thing. That's what you might find in the research starter area. But to begin, we have 92,000 results, which are way too many results to try and look through. So what we're going to do is look to the left-hand side of our screen, and we're going to start to use this area in order to narrow down our subjects. Okay, in order to get the best results from your search, you'll want to get to know the left-hand side to see what all kinds of things you can use to limit your searches and narrow down to exactly what you want. So if you'll notice on the left-hand side, we have an area that says Limit To. In this area, you can limit to only items that were available in full text. This will get you items such as articles, online books, anything that you can access directly from here. If you want to narrow down to only scholarly peer-reviewed journals, you click on the box next to that. Another area that you might want to go ahead and click right off the bat is Held in KentLink, OhioLink, or Available Full Text. By clicking this, you're going to narrow down your results to things that are only available through our system, OhioLink, and anything that you can obtain right away. So we'll go ahead and click that and see what that does to our results. Sometimes it takes a minute or two to update, so I'll just give it a minute to update. Okay, so that took out about half of our results. So the good news is you don't have to filter through things that you're not going to be able to get to directly. The bad news is, you're down half as many results, but that's not such a bad thing when you're trying to get it narrowed down. Okay, here at the bottom you also have an area called publication date. So say you really only want material that's 5 years old, you can move your date over or you can just type it in until you get to an area that you want. For now, and it's going to update it, so I'm going to show you how to take that back out. So that's good. Okay, so we really didn't want to narrow that down in that way, and it didn't take out our results anyway. So whenever you have something that you decide you don't want to do, all you have to do is go over here in the limiters area and click, and it will remove it from your limits. Okay, so now we still have things just limited by what's available to us in KentLink, OhioLink, or online here in full text. So we still have 46,000 results here. If you go down through, there's another area called source types. So here you can limit in different ways. If I wanted academic journals, I know I can click here and I limit down to 4,000 academic journals, a little over 4,000. If I wanted to look at ebooks, I can click here. I'm going to go ahead and limit to ebooks. There's 123 ebooks on skunks, the topic of skunks. Okay, if I wanted to view an ebook, all I have to do is click here where it says connect. And sometimes the ebooks come up a little bit differently, but there's always a connect area when they're available to you online. So the times that you might want to use something like this is if, say, you're working on your report and it's Friday, you're not going to have time to order something from KentLink. Something from KentLink or OhioLink might take 2 to 3 days to get. Or even if it's available here at our library, if we're not open on a Saturday and Sunday, you might want to get a book that you can access right away online. So in order to do that, you just limit to ebooks. So I really decided that I don't necessarily want just ebooks on the topic, so I can take that back out. I have 46,000 results still showing up. That's still too many to go through. And if you'll notice, when you scroll down through, a lot of these books are not really what I need. And this is where students tend to get frustrated. That's a lot of results, but look, I'm finding a lot of children's books. I'm finding a lot of things that I don't necessarily want. So what I'm going to do is go to this area called subject area. And I'm going to click on where it says show more. It's going to give me all different things. So one of the first things I notice in here is I don't really know how skunks correspond with Lockheed Martin. So I'm thinking that probably there is some type of airplane called a skunk airplane. So I want to make sure that I get all of these results out of here. So these are not really what I want. So you'll notice I have the word skunks here in the subject area. And under that I have 1,127 results. So the reason that this is different, because if you remember we had over 46,000 results in a general search when we used the search box at the top. So I'm going to click on this and update it. But I want to explain the reason that the results are so different here. So I went from 46,000 to 1,000 results. The reason that that's different is because when you search in the box at the top, that does just a general search of what is really a string of letters. It doesn't really recognize that you want skunks. It recognizes this string of letters. And so it searches every document that is in the catalog for that string of letters, skunks. It doesn't understand that you don't want skunk airplanes. It just sees skunks. So all those results it brings back just has that string of letters in it. When I go down and I use the subject area, it's very different. The top searches much like a Google search, where it doesn't really recognize a word, it recognizes a string of letters that you want to appear together. So it just brings back any document, and that's why when you do Google searches, you have so many things come back at you from that. So this one is a good place to begin your search, but once you get your results here, it's a good idea to go down to the subject area and limit using the subject area. Okay. The difference is when I limit by subject, the subjects are developed when somebody catalogs. So it means that someone has read the book or the article or the video or whatever it is and determined that it is about skunks. So again, when you search in the top, you're searching for a string of letters. When you search down here with subject, you're searching for something that is about skunks. So this means that we're going to drastically change our results. So again, we went from 46,000 to 1,000, a lot different results in there. Now that we've fixed our results so that what we have are articles and information just about skunks, the next thing we want to do is think about where else we wanted to take this. So originally we wanted to talk about skunks with rabies. So the best way to do that, of course, I can do that in the box up here. And again, it's going to search for that string of letters. So it may not be specifically about rabies, but yet just have the word rabies in it. If I want my articles or books to contain information about rabies, let's go down here and look and see if rabies shows up in my subject area. And it does. So I know that I have 95 results that are going to be about skunks and about rabies. So I'm going to click there and update my results. So now my results are limited to skunks and rabies, and they're limited by subject. And you'll see that I have skunks here in my subject area and rabies here in my subject area. So say if I had clicked rabies and it only gave me a few results, I could easily take that out here. Okay, we probably want to limit that a little more. 95 still, a fair amount of things to look through. Also, the thing you can do with the subject area is look for different words that you might not know about or different ways that you can take your subject area. So, a report on skunks with rabies is kind of general. So when I look on the subject area, it gives me some new words and some new things to think about. So maybe I want to take my report in a direction where I talk about vaccinations for skunks that could possibly have rabies. So, how do vaccinations come into play with the population of skunks that have rabies? Would vaccinating rabies be a possible thing? Is it something we might want to look into? That's the kind of things when you use the subject area that your research can take you a little further in. So it gives you ideas that you might not have wanted to or might not have thought about already. There are a lot of different directions that your research could take based on what you see here in the subject area. And the reason that I like to search this way and show students how to search this way is it keeps you from running into dead ends, because then you know how many resources you can find in a certain area. It also helps you build a topic that's a little more in depth than you might have had. So we started out with skunks, we limited it then to rabies, and now we're getting into a subject area using the subjects that we have in front of us to kind of look at what the different aspects of skunks with rabies might go into. So we might be able to look at, the vaccine, as we mentioned. How does this affect cattle? There's things that come up in the subject search that you might not have put together with things like, for instance, I don't know how rabies in skunks affects cattle. It's an interesting concept, so it might be something I want to look into further. As you go down through, you can also see that our results get fewer. So 4 results is not a lot to look through. When we go back up, we get into more. So, around 18 is a good number. The vaccination, if we took it in the direction of the vaccination for rabies, we could click here, and we know again that all of our results are going to be about skunks with rabies and vaccinations, because we have all of those in our subject areas. So the words are just not going to appear there. Our information is really going to be about this subject. So from here, I'm seeing that I have some articles. In the first article, I'm looking at a risk to man, so you might look into making a thesis statement that talked about, how do vaccinations for skunks in a certain area prevent the risk to man for rabies. So that really gives you a more in-depth subject area, and it gives you some things that maybe you didn't think about. Maybe originally, if you thought skunks and rabies, you were just going to talk about how it affected skunks, but now it's led us to how it affects man. Okay, say this is an article that we might want to look at. What we can do here is click on the PDF full text. And what PDF full text means is that you get an exact copy of the article. This is exactly how it appeared in the journal. So if you scroll down through, you can see there's some facts and figures, lots of different things that you could use to develop a research paper. One thing I like to show students is if you scroll down to the bottom, so say this is a really good article and maybe I can't find other ones that have the same kind of information. That doesn't limit me to using only one article. What you can do with this article is look at the references that were used to make this article. So within this article, and by looking and finding one really good article, I actually have access to 20 different references, because whoever made this paper, whoever created it, wrote it, they used 20 different references to write this article. So I can turn around and I can use these same articles to gain information that I'm going to use in my research. So this is a really good way to look at your research from the other side, where references really come into play and they help you go deeper into your subject area. If you find a resource that you want to use from the list of references, there's a really easy way to go and locate the article you're looking at. So for starters, what you might want to do is write down the reference information. It's located right here. And then go ahead and highlight the title and just click copy. And we're going to paste that into what we call the journal finder. So to find the journal finder, you'll go back to Kent State, Discovery at Kent State, and on this page you'll find something called the journal finder. So you just want to click that, and you can just paste what you copied from your article into here, and you click search. And what that's going to do is look through all the different databases we have, which are quite a few of them, close to 200 different databases, and try to figure out which database contains this particular journal. It can take a minute or two to get done. Once the journal finder locates your journal, it's going to give you a list of information, and you'll see here the journal we searched was JAMA. And here we have in the first line of information, it tells us that it has it from 1998 to present in this particular database. It also tells me that it is available in print at several different campuses. So it's always a good idea when you're looking for a journal in the journal finder to kind of notice what the date range is and everything. A lot of them will have several different databases it finds them in, and each one will probably have a little different variation of the date range in it. Okay, so once you find something, you just click on it. And then depending on the database you're using, you might have to look a little bit. Most of the ones that are EBSCO databases will just come up with a listing of all the years of the journals. So in this one, it's going to have us go to all issues in order to find the one we're looking for. Okay, so here I have a listing of all the different issues and all the different years that are available. Our particular one was in, I believe it was 1972. So we'll give it a minute to find that. All right. And then the other information that was located within your citation was the page number. So in this particular case, it didn't give me a date range, but because I have the page number, I can still find it. So you'll see that we're on 1979. We need to go to 1972 because it just brought up the whole range of the 1970s. So we'll give it a second to load 1972. And I know the page numbers that I'm looking for, or the volume I'm looking for, is 222. So I know it's going to be around here, and since I wrote down the page numbers, I know the page numbers I'm looking for are 44 through 47. So I know that this October 2nd is going to be the issue that I'm looking for. So I'm just going to click on that. And there's my article. And here's the PDF of my article. So we know that we can find this through the PDF here on the JAMA site. But maybe we want to go back and look at our article, and we'll go ahead and show you some information that you can get from the PDF of the original article. So this is our original article. We just kind of clicked back, and if you leave windows open, you can click between the two windows. So some things I wanted to show you about an article when you have them up in a PDF, and especially if you're using an EBSCO database, that there's an area to the side. You can print the article. You can email the article to yourself. You can save it in a folder. And one really neat thing is you can get a citation for it. So if you click on citation, your citation will come up. So depending on the style you're using, if you're using APA, here's your citation. If you're using MLA, and those are usually the two most common ones we use, there's a full citation there. A few things to note. When you are using a citation from a citation creator, whether it be EBSCO or any other citation generator, you can copy and paste the citation straight into your paper. You just highlight it, click copy, paste it into your paper. A couple things to note about that though are, for one thing, they're not always in correct format. Usually some small piece that's off, but you do want to check with one of our APA citation guides or MLA citation guides to make sure that everything's in there that needs to be in there. The other thing is when you copy and paste it into your paper, it's going to need the font change. So the font won't match the rest of your paper. So you'll want to just highlight things and change the font. You'll also want to highlight things and add the hanging indent to that. So just be sure and change those two aspects. You get the bulk of your information from some of the citation creators, and that's not a bad thing. It's a good start to a citation, but you do want to double check everything and make sure that you go in and change the font and the hanging indent and be sure that everything is in the right location that it needs to be. So after we've located an article and we've copied the citation, we have one really good article for our paper already, and we've used the Kent resources to narrow down our subject area and develop a good thesis statement to go with. You can X out at the top to get rid of your citation format and go back to the regular PDF format, and this you just want to click the back button and you'll go back to your list of resources. So you see that we have several other resources here that we could use. And that gives you a good start to where you're going. We hope after viewing this tutorial that you find it much easier to search for resources and narrow your topics using Discovery at Kent.